Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 160 podcast.
Today here we're joined with
Luis Quero. How you doing, guys?
Good. Doing good.
How's the podcast going?
Oh, it's going great.
Terrible. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but the podcast it's been going great.
Yeah? What episode is this? Like
This is
This is
I
like
think number
episode
4. Number
Four.
4. Yeah,
A New Hope.
A New Hope.
Oh my gosh, Star Wars nerd.
Yes.
Cool.
So obviously you just started a base in Zeppelbun, but before we get into that, what was your journey into YWAM?
My journey into YWAM. It actually started when I was in university. I was halfway through college and I found myself kind of like stuck in the routine of like just going to youth group every Friday and going to church every Sunday. And yeah, I was like really active in ministry at church, helping and serving and stuff. I'm not one to just go and sit around. But looking into the future, I was like, man, if this is going to be my whole life, I'm like, I don't know if I want this. Like, there was this like sense of, it's gonna sound weird, but like I wasn't satisfied with the way things were going in terms of ministry and stuff. I wasn't really seeing a lot of change and transformation, like in my life, and then I felt stuck. It's not that I was in a bad place, but I just felt stuck. And yeah, I was just like reading my Bible. I was reading Acts, and I was seeing the life of the early church, and I was like, dang, like my life doesn't look like that, man. Like it feels like all I'm waiting for is people to come to youth group and then to tell them about Jesus. But then if they don't come, then I don't have anyone to tell, to talk about Jesus with. So, and when you read Matthew 28, Jesus says like, go, right? So I was like asking myself all these questions, like, am I really living life to the fullest in terms of, or in the light of the kingdom of God? And turns out a friend of mine that I had lost touch with for a while, all of a sudden started being super active on Facebook, and she was posting about being in Costa Rica, doing missions, and about to go on outreach somewhere else and stuff. And I was like, what are you doing? And so she's like, oh yeah, I'm like doing this thing called DTS in YWAM. I had no clue what YWAM was. So I started Googling YWAM, and typical, you Google YWAM, and you press like you click on the first link, and I see this like YWAM Townsville name, and I was like, oh, maybe it's like close to Nashville or something like that, It's like I have no clue where it was. So I started looking into it, and I was like, dang, it seems like this is what I want to do, And then I see a picture of a ship, and then I realized, oh, this is in Australia. So I remember started talking to my dad because I had been processing this with my dad for a while. Excuse me. And my dad was like, yeah, I think this is what you need to do. So we prayed into it. And my dad even said, like, if you want to like put college on hold for a minute and then go, like I'm okay with it. What I did feel like I wanted to finish college to then feel like I was free to do anything after that. So I did. I finished college, and a month later I was in Australia doing my DTS, and that was the beginning of my life in YWAM.
Oh, that's awesome. And what was it like doing a DTS?
It was wild. It was crazy. Like, honestly, when I arrived, I was one of the oldest guys, and I wasn't even that old. I was like 22, but I was the oldest guy, and then one of the oldest in the whole school. And I remember getting to my DTS thinking, oh, I know this. Like, I know this stuff. I know my Bible. I know what's like life is all about and all that. But it was like day 2, I was like, oh man, I don't know anything. And then God started to show himself in such different ways that I've never experienced, because I also lived in a very kind of like secluded like church, and like this is my church didn't really mix with anyone and stuff, and then coming to YWAM, and it's so international and interdenominational and all that. I was like, what is this? And I was like introduced to a different world, like a different Christian world, and then seeing people living out like the people in Acts, I was like, whoa, this is what I've been looking for. So it was shocking. It was very humbling, a very humbling experience, realizing that I didn't know God as good as I thought I did. But it was crazy. It was good.
Where did you go on outreach?
So I spent 2 months in Australia, traveling into like different cities like Brisbane, Toowoomba, Sydney. Oh, in Sydney, I was at the Island Breeze base, so lots of islanders, lots of food. Oh, we had like a like stuck pork. It was delicious. And then I spent a month in Papua New Guinea.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
So, what did you do after your DTS?
I went back to Guadalajara,
Great question.
and I was already dating my wife back then. So
Did you do DTS with your wife?
we did it at the same time, but different places. So while I was in Australia, she was in Florida, and then when I was in Papua New Guinea, she was in Egypt and Ethiopia, doing outreach. And so we came back, and I popped the question. I just proposed to her.
Oh,
How you doing?
I said, yeah. So we got engaged, and 6 months later, we got married, and 3 months later, we arrived to Mazatlan.
Wow.
wow.
What was your adventure and like what was it like being in from going from Australia to Mazatlan, Mexico?
Honestly, I didn't want to come back to Mexico. I wanted to stay in Australia, work with the ship, and you know, traveling back and forth to Papua New Guinea. I fell in love with Papua New Guinea. But I during my DTS, I really felt the Lord put like this huge burden for my country and for my people, and which was weird because I didn't care much about my country before. So, but I had this conviction that yeah, God wanted me back, and as I said earlier, I didn't know anything about YWAM before, so I didn't know we had YWAM in Mexico. Turns out we had Hukum, right?
Juku.
And
Jacum.
yeah, I joined a different base, kind of like in the meantime, to as we were trying to figure out what to do, and yeah, I looking into different websites, I found YWAM Mazatlan's website, and the first thing I see is like YWAM ships starting soon. So I was like, whoa, like there's a YWAM ship in Mexico, and I started looking into Mazatlan, and I felt like this was a really good place not only to serve but to grow. And I think that's something that I really wanted to. I really wanted to grow more. I had this desire from the beginning. When I came back to Mexico, I was like, I cannot believe there's not a YWAM base in the city of Guadalajara, like in the city. And so I had this desire to see something happening there. And when I found YWAM Mazatlan, I just had this like strong feeling like this is a good place to grow. This is a good place to be challenged, and to serve, and even to get ready to do something like starting a YWAM base. And so yeah, I remember I I sent a little like inquiry form, like asking like, hey, what's up? Like, I'm interested. And 10 minutes later, I'm in the phone with Brent, and he's like asking me all these questions, and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And then he's like, right, welcome to the team. I'm like, oh, cool, all right. So packed up our stuff, and yeah, like a month later, we arrived here.
Didn't you arrive with Manny and Natasha?
Yes, it was a bunch of us. Manny, Natasha, Claudia,
Whoa.
Claudia?
Daniel Jimenez. I don't know if you guys remember Areli.
I've heard of that name.
Yeah, it's Nayeli's like twin sister.
Oh.
She married Brandon.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you remember her?
The short one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I remember
So
that
it
one.
was like I think it looks like a wave of us like that arrived in that time. That was May 2015.
Wow.
Really?
And then from there, it was just felt like a wave after a wave after a wave, like people just joining us, and the base just exponentially growing, like super fast.
How was it like starting your Y1 base in Zapopan?
It's both amazing and exciting, and like terrifying. Because when I was here, I was like, well, if I make a mistake or something, there's always someone on top of me, like Ikaika or or Brent, and
He's exposing himself.
to deal with stuff. But then here's like all the punches land on me. So it is cool to feel like the weight of responsibility. I think that's something that I've been looking forward to. But at the same time, I was like, oh man, like if I make a mistake, it's not just me dealing with the consequences. Like it's my team, like the community, the ministry, and all that. So a cool invitation to like really trust God and depend on Him and stuff. It's been really good, honestly. We've seen God really opening doors for us and giving us so much grace and favor with the pastors and the churches and with the community, really. So we had desires and we had some like things that we were hoping for that they would happen during the first year, and they have. Like we wanted to run DTS like from the very beginning, and we were able to. Right now, our DTS is in Turkey, like doing like helping out with like doing relief work at some of the local communities that were affected by the earthquake earlier this year, and it's an all Mexican DTS, which is also super awesome. I don't know if I've ever seen an all Mexican DTS, and I've seen many DTSs. um, and yeah, just seeing these guys on fire just like helps you look at all the challenges that you're facing and thinking like, what man, like it's worth it. It's worth going through the hassle and the trouble and the challenges and the difficulties because what we're doing is really transcendental, and seeing the lives of these guys transform, their faith grow, and seeing them like some of them have never gone on a plane before, and now they're like they went all the way to Spain and the Middle East.
Not
And
even on
so
a plane. Wow.
yeah, so just seeing that and seeing how passionate they are about sharing the gospel and serving people, it's like yeah, like this could be hard, but I mean life is hard anyways.
Is the food there good?
We're in Zapopan.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, you bet. Yeah. Yeah, we have like all sorts of different things just like 2 blocks around our base.
Are
There's
they-
a there's a like Argentinian like restaurant like 2 doors from us, 2 doors away from us, and coffee shops everywhere, Korean barbecues, ramen houses.
Yes.
Have you felt like you found your purpose?
Yes. I think it was I think I had a sense of purpose like really early on in my life. Maybe I wasn't fully aware of it. But like ever since I was little, like my dad really imparted into our family this like heart of service and really like living for the benefit of others as well, and not just seeking your own benefit and stuff. And this was before we were Christians. And so when we became Christians, when we met the Lord and everything, that just was like that sense of service just was enhanced in a way. And I remember, yeah, like we were always like involved in activities that had to do with serving others, helping others, working to relieve others or whatever. And I always felt good doing that. And it was not like a thing of like, oh yeah, like I'm such a good person, but it was more like this feels good to me, and like even when I was like in college, I was like, I can't. I loved like college, and I had a lot of fun there and stuff, but I was like, I can't wait to go, like, be with the guys at youth group for a minute, and help them and stuff. So like that thing of like helping people and serving them was always kind of like a thing that brought me life. And then I remember when I was doing my DTS, I read this quote by Lauren that says that you don't really find purpose by searching, but by serving. And I think that's all I've done my entire life. Like again, since I was very little, I was in the Boy Scouts when I was little, and it's all about it's about helping people and
Yeah.
helping one another and stuff. And
Giving people cookies.
yeah, I did not do that. I did not do that one. But it's kind of like it was this idea that your life is better when you live it for something greater than yourself, and then in the gospel, when you read the gospels, like, I mean, it's like deny yourself and follow me, right? And when you follow Jesus, it's all about serving people and seeking to bless them and their benefit. So I think since I was very little, I had that sense of purpose, and I was able to call it what it was as I grew up, and kind of like put a name to it. And yeah, I think like if you ask me what's my purpose, is to really like, live in such a way so that people may be blessed, but then also they may know the lover of their souls, Jesus Christ.
If you could say anything to your younger self, what would you say? Don't suck up.
Oh yeah, I would say so many things, but I think one of those things is like don't be afraid. Like take more risks. Like I honestly, if I like I've thought about this, and because of my insecurities and my fear, and I was like, oh, what if I screw up and all these different things. I postponed a lot of things in my life in terms of like even obeying God's calling and stuff, because I was too afraid of like failing. And you know what, like, yeah, I would say that to my younger self, you're gonna fail anyways, so you might as well just try it. You might as well just do it. Have faith, be bold, because I think there are many things about God, like His faithfulness, for example, and His redemption, that I was able to taste and see them because I failed. Because I did something, I tried out, I stepped out, and I failed, and God's faithfulness and God's grace like showed up, and He picked me up and turned me around.
I was actually saying that in my head. I was gonna see if you were gonna say it.
Yeah, so I would say that have faith, take risks, don't play it too safe. You're safe in Jesus, so go for it. Obviously, be wise, but at the same time,
Send it.
yeah, literally.
So in our last little video, we were talking about comparison. And so this segment is going to be a little bit about comparing, but who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Wow.
Oof.
Anakin.
Ooh.
No, bro.
Oof.
No. He may be the chosen one, but he got nothing in Obi.
Ugh.
Nothing.
I mean,
At least Obi gets old.
what
and
if
dies.
Anakin had the high ground and Obi-Wan had the low ground?
That would have never happened.
What if it did?
But it wouldn't ever happen because Obi-Wan knows the power of the high ground.
What if Ahsoka was there fighting Anakin instead of Ahsoka? What do you think would happen?
I honestly, I actually watched a video on this, and what if Ahsoka had not left Anakin and stuff, and
That would have been crazy.
and they were saying this whole thing about like, yeah, Order 66 would have like started, and then Ahsoka and Obi-Wan would have been like, what the heck is happening? And so they would have faced Anakin, and he'd be like, realizing what he was doing and being like, man, like this guy used me this whole time, and so he would turn on Palpatine and like fight to the death,
That's
and he would
insane.
like actually kill Palpatine, but then be like,
And then Star Wars would be over.
no, yeah, like they were saying that, like,
That's
but they did it like they did this
crazy.
whole like samurai thing where like Obi-Wan and Yoda and Ahsoka finally get to the Chancellor's office, and they see like Palpatine there, and Anakin is like all consumed with guilt and stuff, and so he just grabs his lightsaber and kills himself,
Dang.
and like fulfilling the prophecy of the chosen one at the same time. And
But just like
ridding the galaxy of
imagine
the
that
worst threat.
Star Wars would be like a whole different. It wouldn't even be a thing really because
Yeah.
of Obi-Wan's done. They would have made the Obi-Wan series.
Well, it wouldn't
the
have
Ahsoka
any of the
series.
original trilogy or
No.
anything. No,
Dang, that's.
but I thought it was a crazy theory. I was like, that would have been.
I think I need to watch the Star Wars movies.
I think they
again.
need to do like a what if in Star Wars.
Yes, they need to do like a legit.
Did you like the What If series?
Like Marvels? Yeah, they were crazy good.
Yeah.
The animation was fun. Yeah.
Star-Lord, but Black Panther. That was so
Yeah,
stupid.
that's so weird.
I was like, what?
And Thanos being a good guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like some of those are just like
The
awesome.
Zombie Avengers.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That was,
that's-
but then imagine that, like Captain America as a zombie, Iron Man as a zombie.
But no,
we're
weren't
getting
there,
really
like,
nerdy.
vampires or something? No, they were zombies. Yeah. And Black Widow. No, wait. The Scarlet Witch. She was a zombie too.
That's
That was like weird. That
that's
was
like the ultimate. She already kind of looked like a zombie when she uses her powers,
true.
but so it's kind of just adding extra glowy red eyes and. Kind of want to go into another movie like Gran Turismo.
What?
Gran Turismo.
Oh,
You
like
watched
the video
it?
game? No, I haven't seen it.
We bought it. Wait,
Really?
didn't we? We need to watch it with you.
Is it good? And what is it about? Is it like Fast and Furious? Like you're
So
just
it's
driving
no.
around?
So like
I have to
basically,
do this.
no. Hold on. So basically, he is a kid who grew up loving cars, like me, and then he got a sim racing setup, like me, and he loves to sim race. And so his dad was always mad at him, like, come play football or soccer with me outside with your brother. And his brother was
Like you.
doing all these other other things, like, and his family was more proud of his older brother than the
Younger brother, actually.
and the younger brother ended up going to a sim racing camp, and he ended up qualifying for an actual racing camp. And so He went from a little video game to
So actual
racing in actual cars. And
Correction, it's the older brother who goes and drives, not the younger brother.
Oh.
he seemed older.
Just because he's taller doesn't mean he's older.
And so,
Unfortunately,
is he
that's how
any
your
good
life
in
is.
real
No.
life? Like in real life racing, is he really good?
It's based on a true story.
And
Really?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a kid. But I don't think he was sim racing. I don't think he did because. Oh, maybe he
No,
was.
It's in the 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
The first steering wheel would have come out then.
And
But it would have been like a Logitech.
he
G-
won in everything. Like so, he
50.
was like epic, like good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Now I'm interested. I'm actually
he
want to see it.
he drove. There's a transition in the movie where he's driving his Nissan GTR, and he's like driving and he's thinking really like big. And then
thing
he
just
goes
goes
back, and then it transitions, and the car like breaks apart, and it does a sick transition into where he's driving his little sim racing wheel back in
Huh.
his room, and then he's
Nice.
like, "Read the car," and then it transitions back into his car, and then he drives away, and it's just like,
That's awesome.
and like
It's-
all the
it's-
wheels
It's
in the
not
movie.
a very appropriate movie for younger kids because they
Oh
just
my
swear a
goodness!
lot.
Oh my goodness! Oh
And
my
F
goodness! Oh
words.
my goodness! Oh my
All right, we'll
goodness.
save
Oh
it.
my
We'll save it for later with Liam.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
What do you think about Gen Z?
What do I think about Gen Z? I honestly think they're pretty legit. I think being a millennial myself and being super misunderstood by the generations before me just because they didn't take the time to hear me out.
Time out.
I think unintentionally my generation has done the same with Gen Zs. But honestly, I believe they're legit. I think they're the real deal. I think they're wired. Yeah, like obviously completely different. I mean, the world they were born into is like completely different even than my world. Like the world has changed so fast. But I like even in terms of like the Great Commission and everything, I really believe Gen Z, if they're passionate, like when they put their minds into something, like they see it through. I mean, that's why you see like all these like streamers and influencers and like they're doing these crazy things because they're like, yeah, I'm gonna create all this content. I'm gonna do all this, and they're like determined. And I think when Gen Z well, maybe not as a whole, that's very idealistic, but like when Gen Z in the church like really grabs a hold of the Great Commission, I really believe that they can see it done. Like
Yeah.
I've been saying this all over the place that if we as a church and as the generations embrace Gen Z and really champion them, we can really see Jesus come back.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best answer we could have gotten for Gen Z.
All
And I
right.
know we've asked a lot of people about like Gen Z and what do you think about them, especially when we were in Thailand. We did interviews like, what do you think about Gen Z? And a lot of them weren't actually Gen Z, but they understood a lot. And so I think you had one of the best answers about
Cool.
the Gen Z.
Luis, thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the next one.